Well, hello again everyone. Ever since I bought the Triumph Street Triple, I've had very occasional starting problems with it. It would turn over strongly a couple of times and then completely fail to turn over at all when I turned the key to try and restart it. Normally this happened when the engine was hot, after you've been riding for a while and stopped to fill up with petrol, that sort of thing. And waiting for it to cool down, soon fix the problem and you just start up and drive off again. I was wondering whether this was starter motor related or perhaps battery related, but on the way home from work the other night I got a couple of 100 yards away from work and the bike cut out completely. The lights went first, the dash went totally blank, and then the engine stopped a fraction of a second afterwards, and nothing I could do could bring the bike back to life. Nothing on the dash, no lights, not even a click from the starter, absolutely nothing, totally dead. So I wheeled the bike back to work, I got it back into the building and tried to figure out what was going on. First thing I tried, I connected up my little portable jump pack just to put a bit of extra boost in the battery and tried to start the bike as normal. Unfortunately, absolutely no luck, nothing on the dash at all. So next I moved on to checking the main fuse, which is under this little clear plastic cover in the block that the main battery leads go to. And that checked out perfectly okay. Next, I decided to check the voltage at the end of the battery leads, just in case one of those was breaking down, but I was getting 12 volts nicely there too. Well, I had to leave the bike at work last night and young Summer come and give me a lift home, but it's early Saturday morning now. Last night I was looking on the various Triumph internet forums and spoke to Chaz on the phone, and we've come up with various ideas of what the problem could be. So I'm going to head back into work now and see if I can have another look at the bike and hopefully get it going. Well, here I am back at work. The first thing I want to do is just try it, see if it starts now, because this has been a bit of an intermittent issue, at least from the starting point of view. Absolutely nothing. Now, our first thought, apart from the main fuse, is that it's going to be an ignition switch problem, which would explain why everything is absolutely dead when you turn the key. If that signal's not getting through somehow, that could be what the issue is. So apparently there's a connector under the tank which is a bit prone for failure. So first thing I'm going to do is lift up the tank and see if I can see a problem there. Now, the first thing I'm doing before I remove the tank is of course disconnect the battery, and then I can undo the nuts at the front of the tank and just swing it up on its little hinge thing. Well folks, got the fuel tank raised and there's supposed to be a little prop under the seat for it, but that's missing on my bike, so I've got a bit of wood here. Now the problem is, as the fuel tank raised, the fuel pipe here came up a bit like a ratchet and it's stuck on the air box here and the tank won't go down. So I think it's probably going to be better to take the tank off completely. So I need to disconnect this fuse hose. Now, this is the one that caused the problem before and leaked. Well, hello again everyone. I had a bit of an issue with the Triumph again on the way to work the other day. I was riding along quite happily and then the bike completely cut out and I felt that my right leg was totally soaked. So I stopped as soon as I could. It wasn't raining, and when I looked down there was petrol pouring out over the road. So quickly turned the bike off and had a little bit of a look round to investigate, and I could see that there was an empty end to a pipe where the petrol feed comes down from the petrol tank. I didn't have any tools with me, unfortunately. I rang Nikki, she was able to bring my tool bag out. I loosened up the front clamp of the tank and swung it back, and I could see that the pipe had completely fallen off the bottom of the petrol tank. But I was able to clip it back on securely and continue my ride. So yeah, all ended well, but could have been quite nasty, I think. Now, you're supposed to be able to push this orange clip back, which I've done, and then release it somehow, but it's a bit fiddly and I can't actually see how on earth you're supposed to do it.
Oh no!
So, dear oh dear, bad news. In trying to get this off, I managed to snap the fuel connector to the bottom of the tank. It didn't really take much, it seemed pretty brittle. Now, in my defence, these are the two buttons you're supposed to press in on either side of the connector to get that out, and even pressing them in now, I cannot get this out. It just seems to be jammed in there somehow. I wonder if that's why it leaked before. Now, there's a couple more electrical connectors under the tank that I've managed to get off, and there's just these couple of little push-on pipes. Not sure what they are. So yeah, now I should be able to take the tank off, I think. Right, got a bit of cardboard for that tank to sit on because I don't want to damage anything else. Yeah, this looks complicated. But something obvious that springs to my attention is this. This all looks a bit melty, doesn't it? I don't really like the look of that. Now, there is another fuse box here. I'm going to check the fuses in that. Well, they all seem good. One thing I'm going to try next is reconnect the battery and try and key it up and see if the battery voltage drops when I turn the ignition. Right, that's connected up. Let's try the ignition. Nope. Absolutely no difference at all. Well, I'm not entirely sure which connector we're supposed to be looking at. This, of course, I believe is the ECU. It doesn't appear to have been on fire, which is good. But yeah, no idea how we can tell if there's anything wrong with that. But yeah, there is a little bit of sort of sheathing pulled back on the wire to the bottom of the ignition. I suppose that's not ideal, but the wires don't seem to be damaged. None of this down here looks particularly great to me though. At the moment, if I had to guess, I'd say this is where the problem is, but I am no auto electrician. Well, Chaz has very kindly driven up to have a look and see if he can work out what the issue is with me. He's just having a look through it at the moment.
I'll tell you what's wrong with it.
What's wrong with it then,
Don't
Chaz?
work.
Yeah, it's knackered, isn't it?
You've broken it again.
I have broken it again.
Okay, right, let's get into it, shall we?
In case the worst happens and we can't get it going, which is quite likely, I guess, with that fuel pipe broken, Chaz has bought his special bike loading ramp and front wheel holder attachment thing. So we think we've narrowed down the problem, haven't we, Chaz?
Yeah, I continuity tested it through. You've got good earth, you've got continuity right through. I couldn't quite get down the start mode, but I will do that. But I didn't think there was anything getting to that ignition barrel. and it seemed like there was no feed. It's all dead, so that tells me that it's not switching on the ignition barrel. So I tested it up to the fuse board, if you like, fuse round, whatever you want to call it, and the power is on half of that, but I don't think there's any power on the ignition side, which is telling me that the switch isn't switching through the switch itself and then back up to the fuse.
Yeah.
So let's give that a test now, see if we can get some lights up. So what we'll do is we'll make sure the tank's right out of the way, make sure there's no fuel hanging around. Just a piece of wire. There is other ways of doing it, but I'd always do it this way. And I'll go onto that side there of the fuse and then hit that.
Can we hold that on there?
Can you hold that on there for me? See if we get anything. Ah, look, there you go.
Yeah.
Look, ignition lights and the gauge, see, yeah. So hold the clutch in for me. Got the clutch in?
Yep.
Yeah, it's not turning over. There might not be any feed down to the start motor. There might not be enough in the battery to turn it.
There you go.
There you go. Yeah, okay. I'd say it's the ignition barrel, dude.
So does that mean we're pretty confident it's not the ECU?
Well, if it starts, which I think it will do, we'll try and get it started in a minute. If it starts, we get a bit more juice in that battery, see if it'll start. I'll be fairly sure it's not the ECU.
Now sadly, of course, because I've broken the fuel pump, there was no real way of checking if we could get the bike started, and no prospect really of getting it running so it could be ridden home. So we did load it into Chaz's van, and Chaz very kindly delivered it back to my house for me, where we're going to have to do a little bit more work on this to firmly nail down the fault and obviously ultimately to get it back up and running again. But we weren't able to get on with that day because obviously Chaz had to get home, and we'll probably have to order some parts in. So follow along and we'll see you in the next video, where hopefully we can get a bit more to the bottom of this problem.